pleasure to meet all at last, and here we are for the very last time to talk about something for films I should have talked about years ago. There are probably dozens of films I've seen by this point that I really would like to have a word about, at least for some time, but unfortunately with how busy my other work has gotten, there's lots of other programs I got running at the same time. I Found It First, I got a few different GWK series that I'm running at the same time, HJN Season 3, and also there's going to be an upcoming 5th season for the Vlogathon. 5 seasons I will have by the end of this year of the Vlogathon. And so, without further ado, let's talk about one last film. Of all the ones that I've gotten to watch, Conan, 1982, fully known as Conan the Barbarian, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. This was years before many films of him, from Terminator to Last Action Hero, had all come out. And I really do appreciate this for being a much more earlier example of Schwarzenegger's talent as an actor, and of course, his legacy of bodybuilding. Because this was basically at the time that he was still very well known for lifting tons of weight, all on his own. But Conan the Barbarian was a bit different than what you would have expected. It simply is the story of a young boy, the son of a barbarian slaughterer, a series of Vikings, Nordic warriors, whom were very well known for the combination of various different things: violence, gore, sexual exploitation, and others. Of course, with all these traits put together, you would never think to know that you would possibly ever have this sort of thing in mind. But man, Schwarzenegger's character in this film, Schwarzenegger's character by any means, would actually allow for something much more incredibly big than you would have realized. Basically speaking, James Earl Jones plays a unique warrior, a rival group of warriors, who is in fact out there seeking out Conan's family. At one point a raid happens, and basically James Earl Jones' own character, whom in this film is known as Thursa. But what happens is that Conan's own father gets brutally murdered right in front of him. And as for his mother, well, she's also gone through some similar thing going on. I mean, it's not really shown very clearly, but it's clear by this point that Conan himself is separated from his family. And where is he taken to? He's basically taken to a pit to go fight for survival. Every single day they fling something at him and he has to fight it off brutally and just execute the crap out of him with whatever he can possibly do. At the same time, they also put him through some slavery work, like the Wheel of Pain, basically. Just push that wheel around and it basically creates some sort of rack-like execution, just ripping the body in half, pretty much. Conan was set to do this every single day of his life. Pit fighting was very brutal for him, slavery work was not much better, till eventually he grew up and was willing to get out of all of this. Well, luckily for him, that basically just happens. He goes out on a quest to find his family's own killer, Thursa himself. Basically speaking, it's not just the likes of James Earl Jones and Arnold Schwarzenegger that are basically the stars of this film entirely, but there's a good handful of others. We do in fact have the Queen of Thieves herself and the young Mongol, both joining Conan on this quest to go find the many people responsible for the death of his family. Conan's not just any barbarian though, like you probably would have assumed. He doesn't just go and thrash through every village, swinging around various weapons like axes and swords and anything else he can get. He's also doing a lot of other things, like eating, sleeping, exercising, training, any of those things that you would definitely do as a kid or as an adult. There's still a lot of things to learn. But then, of course, there comes the out of the ordinary specifics. The sex scenes. Yes, I admit it. I watched through this whole film, and in total I've counted four whole scenes that involve something relative to pornography. And it is just crazy. For 1982, I mean, sure, it was common back then, but I mean, compared to today, it's nothing at all. Man. I mean, where do I even begin with that? Well, I shouldn't. You know what? I'm just going to move on from all that. But here's the thing, though. Conan the Barbarian goes and completes his quest, cuts off Thyrsis' head, shows it to the rest of Thyrsis' own army that he is the one who is victorious in the fight. And, well, what goes on from here on out? Not much, because this is basically where the film eventually just rolls through the credits. Though, of course, there actually was a sequel, 1984's Conan the Destroyer. You know what? Maybe someday I ought to have to talk about that, but I don't really have all the time in the world here, so I suppose Conan the Barbarian, for all the things that are basically there, 1982, the same year that we've also had ourselves the boatload of other things that have happened throughout that year, well, I feel like it deserves itself a nice solid 7.0 out of 10.1. And with that in mind, that wraps up everything here in this series. Films I should have talked about years ago, Season 2, started off really well, and I feel like by this point, it has definitely racked in quite a lot of positive feedback, which I'm very proud to have by this point. So thank you very much for watching this, and also everything else that's happened here, not just with all the other content I've said so far, I Found It First, GWK, HJN, as well as Hot Wheels Hilarity, but also with all the other stuff I have going on here. And there will also be a lot of other stuff that I'll have to do at some point as well. So do be sure to like, subscribe, comment, follow me on social media, and stay on the Hollywood side. And I'll see y'all later, probably with another series like this for 2023.